Hey everybody, this is the weekly forecast commencing on Monday, October the 14th, 2024. The overall theme for this week is testing relationships. And some relationships could blow up and end, but I think that's a smaller percentage. Where we could see relationship resentments could boil up, but then clear the air, because this could also then indicate a good week for resolving and reconciling any relationship dynamics that has just been a bit off. Part of this is on Thursday is the full moon. Full moons in general every 4 weeks test relationships, and it's in impatient, fiery Mars. But before I break down what's happening each day with Venus, now Venus is certainly, we're talking about relationships because Venus wants union, desire, intimacy. But Venus could also represent finances, because we like the finer things in life cost money. Venus could also be, for some of you, instead of being so much on a personal relationship, but with a creative project. But again, before I break all this down with all these Venus transits for the week, if you enjoy these types of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find direct links to book an astrology reading or check out my 2-question offer. All right, Monday, the 14th, the moon that describes the overall emotional tone, the public tone, is in sensitive, caring, empathetic Pisces. The downside of the moon in Pisces is you could be more, your feelings could get more easily hurt. The upside is you're just feeling more empathetic, compassionate, and loving. It starts the day on Monday with the sun in a hard angle called a square to impatient, impulsive Mars. And this will happen, a hard angle of sun to the Mars, maybe for a couple of times a year. Now, this could trigger any kind of resentments, tensions, irritability, could start rumbling to the surface. Then Venus is, as we go past the Sun, Mars, which could be triggering these tensions and resentments, the Venus is going to be squaring a hard 90-degree angle to the sun, and also at relatively the same time, sociable Venus will be in opposition or confrontation to rebellious, unpredictable Uranus. So with that sun to Mars and then Venus to Uranus, and your moon's in Pisces, a lot of people might be feeling very sensitive and maybe a bit nervous and anxious about all kinds of important relationships. Kind of like also any kind of resentments or that is coming to the surface. On Tuesday, now Venus for the entire day will be trining or in harmony with Neptune. Venus to Neptune, maybe twice a year, can really stimulate romantic love, unconditional love, certainly a creative peak for artists. Financially, Neptune is also that visionary. Could be good for a hunch, you might say, an intuition to go in a certain direction financially. The moon is in Pisces on Monday. The moon for the rest of the day is going to continue in Pisces. But the moon will be in harmony with Venus and then crossing Neptune, mid-morning Pacific time. That could also, with that moon in Pisces ruled by Neptune and the Venus trining Neptune, all this creative, romantic, altruistic energies, this unconditional loving energies, and there could be a real push for it, really bringing it to the surface by mid-morning Pacific time. So with all that instability and insecurity and anxiety with many types of close relationships on Monday, by Tuesday, in the first part of the day, you could be making more of a connection. Maybe you needed to have these insecurities in a relationship bubble up to realize that you want to resolve any issues. You want to stay connected. You might be feeling we got to get closer together. At 1:35 p.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves Pisces, that nurturing, empathetic, overly sensitive Pisces, and goes into assertive, fiery Aries. And that moon in Aries is going to be very favorable with that Venus that wants diplomacy and union and love in harmony with very romantic, idealistic Neptune. So Tuesday, it's more about that you would rather have the relationship than not have the relationship, starting to feel more, instead of all the irritability and resentments, you're starting to look at everything that's positive and really wanting to address it and take action to start looking for resolutions. On Wednesday, the moon continues in independent, assertive Aries, but there's nothing else going on for the day, which is kind of good, until late evening Pacific time. Will be in harmony with generous, expansive Jupiter. On a mundane level, since a lot of people will be flying, especially in the United States, if you're flying to Europe, a lot of the flights are in the evening. So they arrive in Europe in the early morning. Jupiter represents travel, expansiveness, and having that impatient, assertive moon in Aries in harmony with Jupiter, it would be good for doing late night traveling. But Jupiter can also be where you're just feeling so much more encouraged and optimistic. Now, so many of you will be sleeping, and with that emotional moon supported by Jupiter, just in a general sense, you would be feeling more relaxed, more optimistic about and being able to get a better night's sleep. But on Thursday, by late morning, maybe around noonish Pacific time, will be a full moon in impatient, aggressive, assertive Aries. A full moon is when the sun, which represents, in general, the individual, is in opposition to the moon. The moon rules others and the public, and the sun represents the individual, and that they're in opposition. That sets the foundation for all full moons with the sun opposite the moon to test relationships. And this full moon is in fiery, assertive Aries. But Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. Mars is the warrior planet, the aggressive, impatient planet. And Mars is also going to be in a square or a hard 90-degree angle to the full moon. This could really release any kind of pent-up irritabilities, angers, resentment. But I see it to clear the air, clear the decks, start fresh. And I see this could be more positive for most people because Venus, the planet of reconciliation, with diplomacy, with love, with peace. Venus on the day of the full moon is sextiling, which is positive opportunities, with transformational Pluto. Venus to Pluto, when it's positive, can bring in a more intimate, deeper love connection. So I see this full moon. If there's any last resentments, you can clear the air, have a fight, but then you could get closer than ever. Where you start fighting and then you're realizing that you're just really hurt and angry because you're so in love with the person, and then you get beyond that. And part of that getting beyond it would be about 1 p.m. Pacific time, because the moon from the full moon leaves impatient, fiery Aries and goes into earthy Taurus. Moon in Taurus once a month for 2.5 days. Taurus is grounding, calming, steady. So Taurus is also ruled by Venus. And here's Venus in harmony with transformational Pluto. So Thursday, many people, any last resentments could come to the surface and to clear the decks, and then realize you would rather have the relationship than not have the relationship, and bring you much closer together, and bring the opportunity for a lot of healing and reconciliation. With all of that has been rumbling since Monday, and by Thursday could be breaking through. On Friday, as the moon continues in steady, calming Taurus, we'll be in harmony with grounding, pragmatic Saturn, mid-morning Pacific time. Saturn rules the sign Capricorn, an earth sign. The moon's in Taurus, an earth sign. So the moon's in harmony with Saturn. So there's all this practicality, groundedness. It's also, now this is mid-morning, peaking mid-morning Pacific time. This is also very good for business. But without business, you're going to just be feeling more grounded and secure. Maybe after relationships might have been feeling a bit anxious and nerve-wracking. But by Thursday afternoon, later, for most of you, if you had relationship issues, you're breaking through on the better side. And then Friday, you're just feeling so much more grounded. On Saturday, the moon remains in Taurus through until early afternoon Pacific time, and by noonish, that emotional, nurturing moon will be in harmony with in-depth, passionate, transformational Pluto. You're able to really express your really deep feelings. It's also really good if you're having a counseling session, an astrology session, because you can really get to some really deep feelings. 1:08 p.m. Pacific time, the moon leaves steady Taurus and goes into restless Gemini. Gemini is the talkative sign. It's you're walking and talking and chewing gum at the same time. Gemini, you're running all over the place. You got 100 different errands. There's just a lot of brainstorming and mental busyness. By early afternoon Pacific time, now the moon in Gemini will be in opposition or interacting with others with sociable Venus. So as we're going into a Saturday evening, can be very favorable energies for socializing, for attending public social events, for a little romance. On Sunday, the moon's in Gemini, so there's still all this mental brainstorming, lots of talking and ideas for the whole day on Sunday. But by late morning, Pacific time, the moon will form for an hour or two, late morning, a square or a blocked energy to restricted Saturn. You might be feeling, for that hour or two, feeling blocked, feeling disconnected, and you could just start worrying, because this whole week was really awakening a lot of feelings with relationships of all kinds. Maybe you're ending the week with the moon Saturn. Maybe you're just worried, is this real? Will this last? But this too shall pass, and the rest of the day, the moon's in Gemini, which is all that more light-hearted, conversational energies. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or to check out my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until next week, be safe and well.